Everybody, welcome to Castor'sCorner.com. I'm your host Khalil here for another toy of the day here on our live YouTube channel. You can go to Castor'sCorner.com for a full gallery of these figures. Yes, we're doing 2 figures tonight. And you can go to Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter and follow us. We are at Kastor's Corner, and check out the Cornercast podcast this week with Sunny from the Sunny channel, which was a great interview. So go check that out. It's up on Apple Podcasts right now. You can go to the website Castor'sCorner.com for information on how to follow us, how to subscribe, and hit the subscribe button down below because we really appreciate it. So I was debating, like I'm breaking up the new Masterverse figures, and I've been debating and going back and forth on like how to really do them. And so I did Mossman by himself, I did Battle Cat, I did Skelegod. Some of those Skelegod and Battle Cat were just because I had no choice. I got them separately. But the latest Masterverse figures, I got them all together. So I had the whole first wave and trying to figure out like how to break it up. And Mossman seemed like he was good enough to do by himself, and I'll do Evil Lyn later this week. But I felt like He-man and Skeletor kind of belong together, you know, the hero, the villain, and to talk about them. And since they're the iconic characters that you would expect, like if they were only to do 2 or 3 characters, you would expect He-man and Skeletor to be the 2 characters they do. In fact, they did that with the world's smallest. They did He-man, Skeletor, Battle Cat, and Teela. So, you know, when they do in different scales, you always see the He-man and the Skeletor. So tonight's toy of the day is going to be looking at He-man and Skeletor from the new Master of the Universe Revelation Masterverse line. I have to say, they're my 2 least favorite figures of the sets so far. Even though I was critical of Skelegod, it still was different enough that I enjoyed it enough that I was like, oh, okay. It's different enough, so I'm okay with it. Even though there are problems with it and there are issues with it, I'm still good with it. So I'm trying to get He-Man to sit on Battle Cat, which is actually not that easy. So here he is on Battle Cat. Still don't have that right. The loincloth makes it hard to sit on the saddle. The hips actually don't pop out as well as they do on, oh, there we go, on Mossman, or as easily. There we go. Okay, so there, that's a little bit better. So there you go. There's He-Man on his steed, Battle Cat. The new look to them, I mean, I've heard a lot of people complain and say it's kind of like their heads are too small, and I could see that. Considering the size of these figures and the size of their heads, it definitely is a little bit off-putting. It's a little bit weird. Just doesn't sit right. He comes with the power sword. It's different than we're used to. It's a similar shape, but it's much more tapered and much thinner. We're used to He-Man having a much broader sword, but this one's a lot thinner compared to the figure itself, considering how big he is. He comes with his classic shield, which is fine. He can hold it, looks good. He's got a little bit of a smirk on. You know, it's got the same battle armor. Instead of the cross, it's got the giant H. This is the first time we've seen it with a different kind of attachment. So it doesn't attach in the middle and on the sides. It's all one, and it attaches at the bottom, which is different. He is much bigger than your average figure. They're the larger scale. Skeletor as well. Same thing for me. You know, he comes with his Havoc Staff. Let's see if we can get it in his hand. Yep, there we go. It is heavy, so, you know, actually, there we go. There, that looks better. So he comes with a Havoc Staff. He does not come with a sword or part of a sword like they've done in the past. He just has his staff, and he's got this weird circle staff thingy that I'm sure we'll find out what it is in the cartoon at some point. He comes with a pistol hand, which is a little bit weird for Skeletor, and then an open hand, which is good. I appreciate those. The cape is felt, There's not a lot to it. I don't know. It's kind of like they're the boring figures, right? You know you're going to get them. You know they're going to look pretty much like they looked in the 80s. There's not really an update to the designs that much. You know, he's got the clawed feet. He's got the little fins on his arms. I mean, there's not a lot of differentiation from what we've seen before for Skeletor. He's purple, he's blue, he's got a skeleton face. You know, there's not much there. There just isn't. Same thing with He-Man. He's got his loincloth. He's got his armored hand, his armored arm there. He comes with his power sword. You know, he's just like the standard kind of characters. They're pretty. I like the updated Evil Lyn. I like the updated look for Mossman. I love the updated look for Battle Cat. It's just different enough to really make a difference. These guys are just kind of plain. Like, in all honesty, they just feel very plain. Definitely have very, very tight hips on all these figures. And they definitely, you have to kind of push them up and in to get them back so you can go regular motion. If you open them up to sit on something or move them out to do a different kind of pose, you definitely have to get them back up and into the cradle in the hip area. So that's a little bit weird. Shoulders, because of the posing in the packages, were very stuck for both of these guys. So it took a lot of like very gentle movements to get them out of those poses. I will say the odd design choice for Skeletor is he usually has the bone cross on his chest, which you can see right there. The thing is, the top bones are attached here. So if you were to take off the cape, there goes his head. Every video, almost every video I do this. When you take off that collar piece, and if you take off that cape, and he's got a different gear piece in the back, so it's a different attach point than the standard ones that we see in He-Man. But if you take off, oh, it's two parts. It's not one part. It's two. It's a left and a right. If you take off that gear, that cape and the gear, he doesn't have the top bones. So I understand this was going to drop down below that line, so it made sense, but it still looks odd without him. And if you go to pose him and the shoulders aren't matched up, like if you turn his body, you get that kind of thing where the bones don't match up. And I think that was definitely not a good move on the design piece, because this does move independently and it's really hard to get them lined up together. And there's no piece that kind of attaches to the gear here. That's actually this part of the gear. So there's no way to kind of make sure that it moves in tandem with each other. I know I'm being a little bit harsh, but and I don't know. You might have to sound off in the comments. I didn't notice this until I take off the cape. My Skeletor has purple paint, like splattered all over, and I don't know if that's intentional or not. It looks very intentional, but I can't tell. But it is consistent throughout the whole belt area. So I wasn't expecting that. But I didn't notice it as much until I took off the cape, because it's not as pronounced in the front. And then we look at He-Man, and He-Man comes with alternate hands. So he comes with a fist, his punching fist, and then he comes with his famous karate chop open hand chop hand that he uses in so many of the episodes. Yeah, I really would love to love these guys. I would. I 100% would love to love the way these guys look. And I like the updated designs of Skeletor's face. I think that head sculpt is a really nice update. He-Man, he's kind of plain and boring. He just kind of looks like a goofy Dawson's Creek ripoff. Looks like something out of like the 90s with the hair and everything. Not even the 80s, very 90s, like Hanson Brothers. Like that's what that looks like to me. They're the most boring of the bunch, to be honest with you. But they're necessary because they're the title characters. They're the two big you know, bad and good of the line. So they're necessary in a lot of different ways. But the other thing I will say is, as a whole, and it comes across more with Mossman and these two guys, there's not a lot of depth to the color. It is a very flat color palette. They're very plain. They're very simple. And I know you're saying, well, He-Man always was. Yeah, you're right. Like, always was very simple. But this face compared to this face, there's lines in this face. There's a little weathering there. There's a little bit of like grit there to him. Whereas this one just looks very plasticky. Like it does. It looks like what we expect when we get the $10 value toys. Like, it's a very clean, plain look to them, where, and this is across the line, that just really throws me off. That doesn't seem like there's a lot of depth to it. So I appreciate where it's coming from. I appreciate that they've updated some of the designs. I think some of the execution could have been better. But if you're a He-Man fan and the cartoon does well, which I'm hoping it does, I have really high hopes. And I really want to see how they pull off Teela. I want the new version of Teela with the side shave and the comb over, and she looks like Alex from Supergirl. I want that look for Teela. I hope they don't go back and give her the long hair and the metal bikini, and it's just, I want her in the updated like warrior look. I think it's a much better look for her. So I'm excited to see if they pull that off and they do that in Wave 2. I'm excited to see where the line goes. I hope that Origins doesn't get pushed aside just to get these out. I hope Origins continues. And the articulation and the quality of the plastic, I think, is really good. I don't know. I wanted more depth. I think it's the face. I really do. I think it's the head sculpt on this one that really just doesn't add any depth or character to it. It's just very plain, waxy kind of look to him. So, and if they had matched up the gear with the collar, Skeletor would have been a much better figure to me. But with that difference there and the very flatness and the slop on the paint, like, these two are my least favorite of Wave 1. Whereas Evelyn, which we'll talk about later this week, and Mossman are my two favorites. And then Battle Cat is the winner of the whole line. I need another one of these guys for a custom project. So thank you guys for watching. A full gallery of these two will be up on castorscorner.com as you're watching this. There's a link down below in the bio. You can follow us. Again, links are down below. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You should subscribe and listen to the Cornercast podcast every Monday night, this week with Sunny. And hit the subscribe button. I believe it's under He-Man over here. Hit the subscribe button or go watch another video, or vice versa. And the more of you that join us and the more of you that subscribe, the more cool things we get to do, and then we get to share them with you. And really, that's the best part of this journey. So thank you guys for watching, and join us tomorrow night for another Toy of the Day here on castorscorner.com. Have a good night, everybody.